Welcome to A Voice of Reason in Turbulent Times with Pastor Charles Burnett-Morrow. A powerful, practical, prophetic, and progressive commentary about what is happening in our world today.
I warned that they had a plan. This wasn't just a thought in the minds of right-wingers. This wasn't just something that the religious right had contemplated. No. They had been working it out for years. They had a literal plan. And I believed it was on paper. I believe they literally had gone to the point of articulating it in writing. However, of course, it was not made available to the general public at that time. I warned that there were elements in this country that were desiring a second civil war. Those elements primarily were white supremacist and racist organizations and groups, and that they desired a second civil war established on not on the argument of slavery, but rather on the issue of race. I warned that as of 2004, the Republican Party was not able to find anyone who was popular enough. They needed a very popular figure. I'm going to read something to you in a moment concerning the rise of Adolf Hitler. They needed someone with immense popularity, someone who could communicate to the masses. And as I've read to you in the past, Adolf Hitler said, if you're going to communicate with the masses, you have to speak at the lowest, dumbest, most ignorant, uneducated level possible. Because that way you're communicating with the least intellectual among you, and yet at the same time, everybody who has any intellect, anyone who has any education, also most certainly understands what you're saying. You know, if a fourth grader comes up and speaks to a group of adults, even though that fourth grader is speaking at a third or fourth grade level, as long as the people in the audience are varied and there's a variety, then those in the audience who can only speak at a fourth grade level are going to understand what he's saying, and those with master's degrees and doctorates are going to understand what he's saying. And Adolf Hitler said you have to use, in order to be effective with propaganda, you have to use slogans. You have to use, short phrases that convey your thought. And you have to stir up the passions of the masses. And in order to do this, you have to speak at the simplest possible, the lowest possible level. So they needed someone who had this type of communication skills. Ronald Reagan would not have qualified because Ronald Reagan did not talk like an uneducated ignoramus. Ronald Reagan was an intelligent man, an educated man, and he communicated in that fashion. I believe Hillary Clinton lost the election in 16 because she literally got on television and she articulated her plans, she articulated her thoughts beautifully. And those of us with any education and any intellect, any intelligence, those of us with an IQ over, 70, we understood every word she was saying and we agreed with it and we supported it. However, there was a huge swath of Americans who couldn't understand a word she was saying. They don't have the education. They don't have the understanding or the ability to communicate or to be communicated with at that level. And this is where Donald Trump wound up surpassing her, because he did have that skill. He did have that ability.
A voice of reason in turbulent times with Pastor Charles Burnett-Morrow, speaking truth at a time when truth is in short supply.